Hey y'all, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. If you've not already, click like and share. Hey, Wit, girl, you it's in the spirit. Can you drop the link or tell us where we can go at 1 p.m. today to support you later after Pink Road Chronicles? I want us, the Clearing and the PRC family, to go on over to Sisters Chapel, to the Spelman College Sisters Chapel link to support the Reverend, almost soon to be, real close to be, Dr. Whitney Baisden Bond, who will be preaching her final sermon as a staff member there at Sisters Chapel, the Wisdom Center. Let me say this was not planned, but let me just fall right into and be into what I'm compelled to say is with this is certainly the end of the era, but absolutely a beginning. Ashe, a begin again. Listen. I won't say it all here, but just know the journey has been laid, and I know that Dean Gidry and Miss Sally and others are so appreciative of the paths and the students that you have laid there as one who has known you, Ashe, who has known you. My goodness, who has known you since you were 18 years old as a little whippersnapper yourself, coming into the Wisdom Center, and now one who holds a very similar position, who is moving on. I have certainly walked in a way where you have walked closely, and I just shout you out. Ashe, appreciate you, love you, and we certainly want to support you on this morning. I wanted to, before we begin, good morning. If you've not already, click like and share. You should. Ashe, you should do it right now. You should do it right now. If you've not already done it, you should do it right now. Get into it. So last week, when I came on here with my head, and I talked to you all about Anthony Penn's hermeneutic of style. Shout out to my girl, too. Reverend Pastor Carmen Means, shout out to her, who is another sister who be rocking the hats and the glasses and the gloss while we on live spreading this word and on our through our alternative pulpits, i.e. social media, I say, building spaces where spaces need to be made, and not looking to bust down any brick and mortar doors because of the creativity and the power that is already within us. I say, we can preach right where we're planted. That's a word. So I wanted to come back before we start on this morning, just to give you, for those who are looking, who wanted to know more. It comes from Dr. Anthony Penn. It is from his book, Terror and Triumph, The Nature of Black Religion. Terror and Triumph, The Nature of Black Religion. And the hermeneutic of style for Anthony Penn is a methodological approach The methodological approach that is rooted in his broader project of examining African American religion and humanism. It emphasizes the hermeneutic of style. It emphasizes how African Americans have historically engaged with religion, not merely as a set of doctrines or beliefs, but as a dynamic and creative response to their social, cultural, and political realities. Penn's hermeneutic of style focuses on the ways religious and cultural practices are shaped, adapted, and formed within the African American experience, highlighting creativity, resistance, and meaning making. Ashe? So this is not the focus today, but I since I raised it last week, this is also we engage. This is our educational opportunities for new sources, because some of us need different sources and new sources. I say, so I wanted to come back and because I dropped it last week, I wanted to come back and share with you. And so this is not what I'm preaching on. Well, that's not true. I was going to say this is not what I'm preaching on today, but my body is already preaching, Ashe, as a performance. Our bodies, we display and we're displayed upon. It is the archive and the repertoire. That when we come forth, that without speaking, we embody and we are already engaged. Thank you, Natasha. I was going to ask you to do that, Natasha, and I was going to ask you to do something else, and I cannot think maybe that's it. But I was getting ready to ask Natasha. It'll come back to me, Ashe. But let me wrap this up real quick so that we can move forward. The lippy is the lip bar. I left it upstairs. I forget what it's called, but it's like that hot pink. Significance of I'm just giving you these core elements. I can't break them down because I don't have time. But Natasha has put his book in here. The name of Dr. Anthony Penn's book for you to go do some research on your own. Core elements of Penn's hermeneutic of style is religion as expressive culture, style as resistance, performative and embodied faith, intersections of theology, culture, and identity, and decentering institutional religion. His hermeneutic of style offers a way to interpret African American religious and cultural expressions as tools of survival, creativity, and resistance, and it reveals how Black communities have used religious and cultural styles to cope with trauma, articulate their humanity, and imagine liberation. Baba Omo! To my great elder, Baba Omatosho, Dr. Daniel Black, I greet you, great elder. Ashe. This approach is particularly valuable in academic and activist circles because it bridges theology, culture, and social justice, offering insights into how faith and culture interact to shape Black identity and resistance. In summary, Penn's hermeneutic of style celebrates the dynamic, adaptive, and performative nature of African American religious, notice he didn't say Christian, I just want to be clear, of African American religious and cultural traditions. And it highlights, come on, Jay Exodus, you just dropped in my spirit because you are a representation of a hermeneutic of style if there ever was one. It highlights how these practices have served as a resource. Come on, Black Panther Party. Ooh, all these examples are downloading. It highlights how these practices have served as a resource for both individual and collective survival, while also challenging oppressive systems and envisioning a future grounded in justice. Ashe and amen. Good morning, buenos dias, familia. Good morning to all of you, to all the names that I've not had an opportunity to say. Say your name out loud right now. Ashe. Good morning to you. Good morning. The text for this morning comes from, hold on. If you've not already, I know you're not doing that. Hold on. If you've not already clicked like and share, I want to encourage you. Morning. The text for this to do so right now. Ashe. The text for this morning can be found in Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah, Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Jeremiah. Hey, Pastor, I do got a shout out. I got to shout out Pastor Reverend LaFawn Flood. Good morning. Good morning. I got to shout out LaFawn Flood Francis, y'all. Go ahead and put your claps emojis or your high five emojis in the chat right here before we read this text. Shout out. I'm taking a point of personal privilege this morning to shout out Pastor LaFawn Flood Francis. Why? Because he was just installed on last week of my home church. My home church, the church that I was born into, the church that I was raised into my entire life, the church where I served as a teen for Christ. I was on a junior usher board. I was in the Sunbeam. I was in the Gospel Light Choir. Listen, the church my grandmama loved. She was a member of the J.D. Morton Missionary Society. We lived 4 doors down from the church at 136 West 12th. Listen, shout out to you, Pastor. I am so excited for my home church family. I look forward to coming back. When I come back home, to just coming and being and sitting in. I am praying for you. I am praying for the congregation. I'm looking forward to the fact that they will get to receive a lot of the learning and the thinking that I have now and that you've received. I'm just excited for my community, and I'm excited for you, our hometown folks. So shout out, y'all. Make sure you pray for Pastor LaFawn Flood Francis and the Second Baptist Church of Homestead, PA, my hometown, my home church. Ashe, amen. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, and listen to it. It reads like this. Thus says the Lord, stand at the crossroad and look. It's already preaching, Ronnie. Thus said the Lord, stand at the crossroad and look. Ronnie, text Stephen. Text our friend. Text Soul Trust, please. Stand at the crossroad and look and ask for the ancient path where the good way lies, and walk in it and find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk in it. Thus says the Lord, stand at the crossroads and look, and ask for the ancient paths where the good way lies, and walk in it, and find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk in it. And our additional text. Our additional text.
Reminding the government. A number of clips are starting at the haka. And I just want to point out, I think you're missing one of the most powerful parts of what happened. Pay close attention. Ka wana, ka whakamanuwhiriti a koe e au.
Stand at the crossroads and look and ask for the ancient paths where the good way lies, and walk in it and find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk in it. For a few moments this morning, I want to direct your attention to consider the theme, the ancient path to a liberating future. The ancient path to a liberating future. By now, each of you, and even if it was just now, have seen this very powerful video. It is a video of Sister Hannah Rahiti Maipe dance. I cannot read my own writing, and I have probably not said her name correctly. I attempted to get phonetic pronunciation because it is important to say names, even hard names, correctly, as not to act in the way of the colonizer. So I apologize. But what we've seen is we witnessed the people, the Maori people. The Maori people are the indigenous Polynesian people of New Zealand. Maori originated with settlers from East Polynesia who arrived in New Zealand in several waves of canoe voyages roughly between 1320 and 1350. Here we witness Maori lawmakers protesting with the traditional dance, the haka. Hannah is seen tearing up a copy of a controversial bill, and she throws it on the floor. The bill her party is protesting would reinterpret New Zealand's founding treaty with its indigenous people. The treaty, the treaty profused them their rights to their land, promised them rights to their lands, and gave other protections in exchange for British rule. Experts say that the bill could undo work aimed at redressing historical wrongs against the Maori people by the colonizers. Here we see the Maori people disrupting business as usual. The House, as a result of the haka, was suspended. The haka is a traditional group dance demonstrating their community is in anger and or fear, or it is a way to reinterpret. They are in anger because of this threat to attempt to reinterpret the bill that was set in place at the country's founding. Good morning, Mama Itihari. The colonizer in this video, the colonizer found her and the haka to be disrespectful, so the colonizer suspended this proceedings. Again, the haka. The haka is a customary way, to invigorate warriors as they head into battle. One more time, the haka is a customary way to invigorate warriors as they head into battle. It is a show of physical prowess and an embodiment of cultural pride, strength, and unity. The haka, y'all, is a hermeneutic of style. I wanted to begin with this display as a way to lead us into the value and the importance of tapping into the ancient path. I want to remind us that we don't have to look far to tap in to our own indigenous path. I want to help us know that our indigeneity does not begin with Christianity. While Christianity is a helpful tool, it has been a useful tool once we reframed it on these lands, and even a helpful tool. It is not the same Christianity that we understand, that the church fathers, the North African bishops, but once it gets into the hands of the colonizers, who then use it to continue to degrade those that they stole, and to make as property. That Christianity has been a helpful tool, but has not been, it is not our only tool, that it is important for us to tap in to our indigeneity, Ashe, to see what it has to say for us in these moments. And so here we are, with the ancient path to a liberating future. We are standing at the crossroads, standing at the crossroads. Oh, beloved, today's text from Jeremiah, it is a powerful call to stand at the crossroads. In the African spiritual religious tradition of the Yoruba, the religion of Ifa, the crossroads are sacred spaces. They represent choice, opportunity, and presence of Legba or Eshu, the Orisha or the spiritual guide. Let me help you unpack this language that trips some of you all up. Some of you all get tripped up because you believe the colonizing language, that language identifying the indigenous religious traditions of the people from which you come from is antithetical to the language that was forced upon you. And so some of you are wrapped deeply in the belief that some of the other names of God are antithetical, interestingly enough, to the Aramaic or to the Hebrew and even or the Greek names that you've come to understand as names of God, even though those aren't your indigenous languages. Do you see how ridiculous you sound? Do you see how ridiculous that is? You hear me? To get trapped up, to question names in other languages that your ancestors would have spoken, would have identified as the ultimate supreme being, spaces in which you get hung up on language, and so you tap out if it's not talking about Jesus. Can I help somebody in this moment that we are in a season, we are in a moment, honey, where we're going to have to tap all the way down into the ancient past? Can I help us on today so that when I say the term Orisha, for some of you, you tap off, you log off, you go on into your group chat, but can I help you just simplify it today and help you to understand that we're simply speaking when we say Orisha as spiritual guide, another entity, a kind of characteristic that God manifests God's self through, Ashe. And so here we are, that the crossroads represent, the crossroads. Somebody go ahead and tap my sister, my favorite scholar priestess, priestess Iyafunlayo. Natasha, make sure that you tag her in. That's what I was going to ask you to do. Make sure you tag her in. So they represent choice, the crossroads, opportunity, and the presence of Legba or Eshu, the Orisha, the spiritual guide, who stands as the keeper of the crossroads, Mama Itihari. A Legba is not just a messenger. Legba is a guide who opens doors and provides clarity when decisions must be made. Like Jeremiah's message to Judah. Come on and tap this in. Like Jeremiah's message to Judah, Legba reminds us that the paths we choose at the crossroads determine the trajectory of our lives and our communities. Hey, Iya Bahati, yes. Like Jeremiah's message to Judah, Legba reminds us that the paths we choose at the crossroads determine the trajectory of our lives and our communities. This intersection of the biblical text and African spirituality invites us to honor our ancient traditions. Did you hear it? This intersection of the biblical text and African spirituality invites us to honor our ancient traditions as we discern our way forward. forward from a womanist and from an African-centered Black liberationist perspective, this call is not just about individual decisions, but about communal liberation. And from an Afro-futurist lens, come on, E.I. Monica, and from an Afro-futuristic lens, it is about how the wisdom of the past empowers us to build a just and free future. Can I tell you, can I lay out my focus here? Can I lay out my function and my focus right here? Come on, Ujima Collective. Can I lay out my focus here? That the ancient past that Jeremiah calls us to seek represent, here comes Mama Itihari, represent a sacred intersection of divine wisdom, ancestral memory, and communal accountability. Let me run it back. That the ancient past that Jeremiah calls us to seek, come on, E.I. Renee, represent a sacred intersection. All of the EIs are on the timeline right now. All of the EIs are on the timeline right now. That the ancient past that Jeremiah calls us to seek represent a sacred intersection of divine wisdom, ancestral memory, and communal accountability. By returning to these paths, by returning to these paths and embracing them, Whitney, as tools for resistance and liberation, we can confront Terrace, systemic oppression, and boldly create a future where justice, equity, and freedom thrive. Through a womanist and an African-centered and Afrofuturist vision, this sermon argues that reclaiming ancient traditions like those embodied by Elegba at the crossroads offers both spiritual grounding and practical strategies for building a world that centers the flourishing of marginalized people. Let me take some water on this. My goodness. My goodness. Yeah. I feel it, Spirit. Woo! Because some of you need to take that in. Some of you need to take that in. My goodness. Some of you need to take that in. So let me just let you sit with that for a minute. Let me let you sit, and I'm going to come back and read it. You know what I'm also do while you just let that sit on you for a minute? I'm going to paste in here the link for you, because some of you all need to come to the clearing afterwards, because this is your first hearing and you're like, what's really going on? I need to know more. You need to come on and get into our subscription community so we can help you understand, so you can talk back to the text. Ashe. So let's run it one more. Let's run it back again. That the point, the focus is this. That the ancient past that Jeremiah in 6:16 calls us to seek represent a sacred intersection of divine wisdom and ancestral memory and communal accountability. By returning to these paths and embracing them as tools for resistance and liberation, we can confront systemic oppression and boldly create a future where justice, equity, and freedom thrive. Through a womanist, through an African center, through an Afro-futurist lens, this sermon argues that reclaiming ancient traditions like those embodied by Elegba at the crossroads offers both spiritual grounding and practical strategies for building a world that centers the flourishing of marginalized people. What is the rationale then, Dr. Melva? The rationale is this, that this sermon emerges from the urgent need for justice-oriented theology in a world rife with oppression, division, and despair. Jeremiah 6:16 serves as a poignant metaphor for the critical decisions we face today, particularly as Black people navigating a society that is structured by white supremacy, patriarchy, misogyny, and capitalist exploitation. The inclusion of Elegba, the Yoruba Orisha of the crossroads, then provides for us a culturally resonant and spiritually rich lens through which to explore the divine guidance offered at moments of choice and transition. Y'all, we are at a moment of choice and transition. We are at a moment of choice and transition. Come on, Ronnie, we quit America. We are at a moment of choice and transition. Again, from this womanist lens, from this African-centered lens, from this perspective of Black women and femmes who have historically borne the brunt of systemic injustices, are central to reimagining what it means to walk in the good way. Angel, you are in my spirit. Also, we need to connect today later on so we can set up our time. That Black women and femmes who have historically borne the brunt of systemic injustices are central to reimagining what it means to walk in the good way. Their stories, struggles, and resilience serve as vital sources of wisdom and power in discerning paths toward liberation. Furthermore, the Black liberation framework highlights the collective nature of this journey, emphasizing that no one is free until everyone is free. Finally, this Afrofuturistic lens reminds us that the ancient paths are not merely nostalgic reflections, but active technologies that inspire innovative solutions for building equitable and liberated futures. Can I read that sentence again? Furthermore, this Afrofuturistic lens reminds us that the ancient paths, cited friends, that the ancient paths are not merely nostalgic reflections, but are active technologies that inspire innovative solutions for building equitable and liberated futures. In this cultural and spiritual moment, this sermon seeks to inspire listeners to reject complacency, embrace the lessons of the past, and move forward with boldness, clarity, and solidarity. Through the metaphor of the crossroads, it challenges us to make intentional choices rooted in justice, honor sacred traditions, and walk together. Let me read that sentence again. Through the metaphor of the crossroads, it challenges us to make intentional choices rooted in justice, honor sacred traditions, and walk together toward a shared vision of liberation and rest for our souls. Hey, so quickly, for those of you who are like, but she still ain't tell us what the text is about. This text, it's a call. It's a call from God to God's people to return to the right path. The verse here says, stand at the crossroads and look, and ask for the ancient paths. Ask where the good way is and walk in it. And when you walk in it, you will find rest for your soul. God is instructing the people to stop and to carefully consider their ways. God is instructing them. She's instructing them to look back to the ancient past, to the way of righteousness that God has previously established for them. God says, ask for guidance. Well, whom should you ask for guidance? Ask your ancestors for guidance. And God promises that if they follow this instruction, that they will find rest for their souls. However, the verse ends with the people's refusal. But you said we will not walk in it. And the context is that Jeremiah was prophesying to this rebellious people of Judah that had strayed far from God's ways. That the people of America, the people of Judah, that this verse is a part of God's plea for them to return before judgment comes. And it emphasizes the importance of following God's established ways rather than these human ways of surrounding these very problematic notions. So let's just go ahead and give a few points. Point one, the crossroads. The crossroads is a sacred space for decision and accountability. The crossroads is a sacred space for decision and accountability. For those of you taking notes, one more time. The crossroads is a sacred space for decision and accountability. The text says again, stand at the crossroads and look. At the crossroads, we are called to pause and to seek clarity. The Yoruba tradition teaches, again, that Legba offers choices at this sacred intersection, but that the responsibility lies with us to choose wisely. I think that, and those who are initiated into the religion of Ifa who are on here can correct me and can aid me and can teach with me, Ashe. And this is why I love the Pink Robe Chronicles, and this is why I love the clearing, because we are such a spiritually expansive people, Ashe. We are such a multivalent, multi-layered folk. In the words of Dr. Monica Dr. Monica Coleman, this kind of multi-religious belonging that we are able to engage in without feeling trapped, without feeling any kind of way, that we are able to ebb and flow. So I invite you all to teach with me that one way I think that can be problematic, especially for those who are who are not, do not have an affinity or not a part of the tradition, is that we identify Legba as a trickster, as one, and we pathologize tricks. This is, my language here is so good. Oh gosh, Jesus. We pathologize tricks. You know, the famous commercial, tricks are for kids. We don't like to be tricked. And when we pathologize tricks or pathologize Legba as a trickster, then we do not get all that we can from the crossroads as a sacred space for decision and accountability. Then we think that the crossroads is something placed in our path for us to be confused and for us and for us not to be able to discern that there is something cunning instead of an opportunity for us to divine and to decide. But Elegba offers choices at this sacred intersection, because the responsibility at the intersection lies with us to choose wisely. For the people of Judah in Jeremiah's time, the crossroads symbolized a moment of reckoning. Would they return to God's justice and the ancient paths of righteousness, or would they continue down the road of exploitation? Disobedience and oppression. Similarly, today's crossroads challenges us to decide, will we continue to uphold the systems of white supremacy? I believe that in the video that opened us up in our text, when we see the Maori sister take the paper and rip it, that there was a decision to be made. Will we sit here? Will we sit here and allow ourselves to listen to this problematic rhetoric of the colonizing system that is attempting to set us back, or will we make a choice? Will we make a choice to respond? Are you all getting it? Are you able to make these connections? Will we sit here and will we just lie back? Will we just lie back and take? Will we just lie back and take what has happened in this last election? Will we sit and will we wait, or will we be proactive? Will we move? Will we leave? Will we stay? Will we fight? These are all opportunities, all moments. Thank you, Mama Itihari. She has placed in the chat an explanation video on Legba, explained by our own Baba Kwame Kalamara. Thank you so much, Mama. And so it is an opportunity for us to choose. So would they return to God's justice and the ancient paths of righteousness, or would they continue down this road of exploitation, disobedience, and oppression? Similarly, I love this teaching that's happening right now, y'all. I'm trying to stay focused, but I just love what's happening on this timeline. I feel a breaking out, a breaking through right now for some of us. Some of you who have you just wanted to know, you didn't know where to start. You've reached out, you've asked. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is right here. Here it is. Jesus, my goodness, I feel it. Similarly, today's crossroad challenges us to decide, will we continue to uphold systems of white supremacy, capitalism, and patriarchy? These are systems that Patricia Hill Collins says are best visualized through the matrix of domination. These interlocking systems of oppression, will we continue to uphold them, or will we return to the wisdom of our ancestors who resisted oppression with courage and creativity? Standing at the crossroads requires us to acknowledge the interconnectedness of all things. And Legba reminds us that no decision is made in isolation. And boom, there it is right there. No decision is made in isolation. No decision. Come on, friends. All of you, all of us who have been duped into believing that we need to keep it close to the chest. Don't let nobody know how you moving. Move in silence. Be on an island all by yourself and you're struggling all by yourself and you're struggling. One thing that we learned on last week when we worked on our sermon is that everyone was struggling, and the joy and the beauty it was for us to come together and to work out our issues together, to stand at our crossroads together. I want you to resist the notion, to resist the temptation to be struggling, to be suffering, to be discerning in silence. I want you to find a few folk, find a few trusted people, find you a community that is strong enough to hold your truth and then to speak your truth. Because your truth is in the circle. Your truth is not on a linear line, but your truth is in the circle. Your path, your way. Find the ancient path. Get to your ancestral altar. Get to the place where you can engage your ancestors. Make them a little plate and a little beverage. Sit down across from them with your plate and your beverage and begin to eat. Some of us think that this is so otherworldly. Begin to eat. And as you are eating your food, I guarantee you that the memories will flood you, that you will recall something, that you will hear something in your spirit. Go back to the ancient past, that the crossroads is an opportunity for us not to struggle alone, but for us to stand in community with one another. It reminds us again that no decision is made in isolation, that the paths we choose affect our communities, they affect our descendants, and even they affect the divine balance of the universe. When you don't choose in community, you are affecting the balance of the universe. Point two. Point two, yeah. Whoo, it is only gravity that is keeping me in my seat. My God, today. Hey, 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 hey. Woo! Point two. Ask for the ancient paths. We got to honor sacred memory. Mama ETR, you already on it. They gave it to you. We got to honor sacred memory. The Lord says in Jeremiah, ask for the ancient paths where the good ways lies. This call to the ancient paths is deeply resonant with African and African diasporic traditions. Our ancestors knew. Our ancestors knew that liberation required both spiritual grounding and collective action. Yeah. Oh my God, today. I'm trying to stay seated, E.R. Renee. Y'all, I'm going to need to go put my feet on some earth. I feel like I'm going to fly out this chair, Jesus. Because the truth sets you free. Because the truth sets you free. Because the truth sets you free. Let me get through this. Let me get through this. Our ancestors knew that liberation required both spiritual grounding and collective action. The ancient paths include the practices of our mothers and our foremothers and our forefathers, prayers whispered in hush harbors, songs sung on freedom trails, and rituals performed to honor God and the ancestors. These paths were not only survival strategies, but acts of resistance and hope. Alegba's presence at the crossroads reminds us that ancient wisdom is not static. It is alive and dynamic. He teaches us to ask questions, to seek guidance, and to honor the traditions that have sustained us. The ancient paths are technologies of liberation, tools for navigating oppression and imagining freedom. This means, from this womanist perspective, this means centering the voices of Black women who have always been the keepers of sacred memory. From an Afrofuturistic lens, it means using this memory as fuel to create a future where justice and joy reign. Point 3. Walking the good way toward liberation and rest. The text continues, walk in it and find rest for your souls. Rest is not just physical. It is liberation. Come on, that Bishop, Trisha Hersey. It is liberation. It is the deep peace that comes from living in alignment with God's justice. Legba reminds us that walking the good way requires intentionality. It means choosing paths of equity, justice, and freedom, even when those paths are difficult. The crossroads are not a place to linger. They are a place of movement, decision, and transformation. We are at the crossroads, some of us collectively. And last week, or the week before last, has immobilized us. We are stuck in a paralysis of analysis. But we linger in too long. We can't stay here. We can't stay here. I'm going to read again. Legba reminds us that walking the good way requires intentionality, and it means choosing paths of equity, justice, and freedom, even when those paths are difficult. The crossroads are not a place to linger. They are a place of movement, decision, and transformation. Yet Jeremiah's text laments, but they said, we will not walk in it. How often do we, like the people of Judah, reject the wisdom of the ancient past for the false promises of assimilation? How often do we reject the wisdom of the ancient past for the false idea that the immigrants are coming to steal everything? How often do we, like the people of Judah, reject the ancient wisdom, the wisdom of the ancient past for the belief that somehow our economy is bad, when in actuality, the economy is not bad. The economy was actually good, hence driving prices up because there was a demand. How often do we, like the people of Judah, reject the wisdom of the ancient past for the false promises of assimilation and materialism? How often do we refuse the good way because it requires sacrifice and solidarity? Yes, Mama E.T. Hari, on rest. Our ancestors created inner worlds to go to in the midst of great hostility and viciousness. The phrase, just resting my eyes, I am not sleeping, is what our grandmother's words were. Ashe. It says, go to the ancient paths, y'all. Woo, how often do we refuse the good way because it requires sacrifice and solidarity? Because it will require us to give up being comfortable in our captivity. To walk in the good way is to resist the forces of fascism, to resist the forces of patriarchy, to resist the forces of transphobia and homophobia, to resist the forces of racial violence, to resist the forces of ableism, to resist the forces of misogyny and classism, to resist the forces of heterosexism, to resist the forces of capitalism and militarism. It is to align ourselves with those who are marginalized and oppressed. It is to build coalitions of the willing. Go with the willing, Mama Hazel Mack said on last week. It is to build coalitions of the willing, walking together toward liberation. Walk together, children. Don't you get weary. If there, point four, really quickly as I wrap this up so that we could go over to the clearing. The point four would be this: to choose the ancient path. The point would be reimagining the path forward. That Alegba, as the keeper of the crossroads, invites us to see the ancient paths as a pathway to the future. This is the essence of Afrofuturism, reimagining what is possible by honoring what has been. The crossroads are a sacred intersection of past, of present, and future. Our ancestors and Legba stand with us at these intersections, offering wisdom and encouragement. The question today is, will we listen? Will we listen? The good way is not a straight line, it is a spiral, connecting the wisdom of the past with the dreams of the future. It is the way of Wakanda, where the ancient traditions fuel futuristic innovation. It is the very way of Harriet Tubman, who used spiritual songs to guide her people to freedom while imagining a world beyond enslavement. Friends, I want you to know on this morning that we must choose the ancient path to a liberating future. Beloved, the crossroads are before us. Legba stands with us asking, will you choose the path? Will you choose the path? Will you choose the path of justice? Legba stands at the crossroads with us. Legba and Jesus stand at the crossroads with us. Just as Jesus, let me help you. Those of you who are struggling, I need you to know that the cross is a crossroad, that the crucifixion is a crossroad, that Jesus had a choice. My goodness. And as a result of that choice, is able to stand at the crossroads with us. He stands here at the crossroads and wonders, will you choose the path of justice? Will you choose the path of love? Will you choose the path of liberation? The Lord calls us to stand and to look and to ask and to walk. And the ancient past, friends, they are not relics. They are not relics, but these ancient paths are living legacies, and they are leading us to a future of freedom. So let us honor the sacred memory of our ancestors, and let us stand at the crossroads with clarity and and courage, and let us ask for the ancient paths and walk boldly in the good way, knowing that we do not walk alone. For at the crossroads, God, Legba, and our ancestors are with us towards rest for our soul, towards rest for our people. Woo. They are with us. They are with us. Ashe. They are with us. They are with us. They are with us. Come on. They are with us. Come on. Ashe. With us. With us. With us. With us. They're 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 with us. Hallelujah. They're with us. They're with us. They're with us. Ashe. Ashe. Come on. Ashe. They're with us, Jesus. They're with us, my goodness. They're with us. Y'all know I had to do it. You know I had to do it. This means this is going to be muted, but I had to do it. 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 Had to do it. All right, y'all. I don't want this to be muted, so we're gonna go over to the clearing and welcome this to as our opening hymn for today as we head over into the clearing, y'all. We headed over right now. If you want to join us, if you want to be a part of this beautiful community, go ahead and click the link. Let me give it to you one more again. Right here, Ashe. This is a subscription community, and so we invite you to come on through. If you're in a situation right now and you like, I just really need to be in a community, but I'm not in a position to subscribe, come on and inbox me. Inbox me right now that I, just be a blessing to you, Ashe, as we are in these moments of needing community that we must be. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.